Get going with our business. The topic that I'm going to cover today is plagiarism, which precisely is going to be called as with the title Research Ethics and Plagiarism. Plagiarism and plagiarism, these are two ways of pronouncing this term that is that has found popularity. So you can pronounce it either way. So objectives of my session will be, first of all, to define what is a research report on which these topics of plagiarism are applied and have to be tested for. And then we will be able to differentiate between various types of research reports. And then very important part of any research report, which are the do's and don'ts of a good research. And then what are the research ethics, various types of research ethics. And then we will be dealing in details about fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. So first things first, let us get to the concept. I will try to visit the concept we will take a very quick tour of what a good research paper is. What are the components of a good research paper? And how many types of research reports are there? So first of all, research reports are basically the research articles or abstracts or theses or dissertations, or they are full-fledged project reports. Then why to write these reports? Because these reports, they can be your articles or abstracts or thesis or dissertation or project report, but these reports serve as vehicles for researchers to communicate their research findings or results of their investigation to their peers or to their counterparts across the globe. So, what is the main goal of these research reports? Why should they be written at all? So, the main objective to write these reports are to disseminate research findings or research results or ideas or information. Every researcher needs to disseminate them, propagate them, make these findings available to the peers. So while writing a report, any kind of research report, the researcher has to keep in mind the fellow researchers, the peers, means those who are conducting research in the same area or same field, practitioners, means the scientists or the teachers who are practicing in that particular area of research, teachers, curriculum planners, policy makers, developers, and of course, the general public. So the significance of a research report is basically it is a written document prepared by a researcher for sharing ideas, information, and experiences of the researcher throughout his research journey, sharing all these things with the fellow researchers. Okay, so a research report is a comprehensive presentation of a researcher's activities and the results of the study. A research report could be an individual project report, like we have PG dissertations, or it could be a full-fledged PhD thesis. A research could be carried out individually or in collaboration with other institutions or with other scientific community, or it can be conducted as a group research. Like there are searches conducted by UNICEF, UNESCO, or some other national level institutions. So, what is the research process and how it is different from a research report, if at all there is any difference, because both look alike in some way. So research process starts with statement of a problem. First of all, the researcher is expected to write statement of the problem in hand. Then what are the hypotheses or the objectives or the questions, research questions that are to be addressed while conducting the research? And what is the design of the research? How the research is going to be carried out in terms of its research methodology, or for collection of, then comes the collection of data. In what manner the researcher is going to collect the data? Is the data coming from the field, or is the data coming from the lab through the experiments, or is the data coming from the primary sources, directly from the public, directly from the target population through interviews or tools like that? Once the data has been collected and represented in standard statistical formats, then analyzing the data. After analysis of data, then interpreting the data, then major findings are brought up and a report is written. A full-fledged report is written. Okay. Well, then what is a research report? Because the last step of research process is reporting, that is writing a report. So what is a research report? In the research report, which could be a soft copy or a hard copy form or both, in both ways, research report will be written in a fixed format wherein there will be a title page, then there will be an abstract, then introduction, wherein the concept and the definitions are given, then the research question, objectives, methodology, hypothesis, all such things are given in details in your introduction part. And then comes the methods are adopted, results are written in a chapter, then a conclusion chapter is written, then you write the references that have been used in your research and some more sources, information sources in bibliography, and then appendices are there wherein you attach your things that you have used in the research, like your questionnaire, like some photographs, some maps, or some other tools that you have used. Okay, the research reports are prepared and subsequently used for the following purpose. First is disseminating the research outcome or the findings. Okay, so research reports serve this purpose. Then utilization of research recommendations for decision making. Every research report should have recommendations, because those recommendations will serve some purpose to the policy makers, to the governing bodies, to the funding agencies. And then replication of research methods. If a research method, a particular novel or novice method or standard method is used in a research report, other peers or researchers, upcoming researchers, may replicate your method, that method, in their forthcoming researches. Okay. A medium to share research experiences. Okay. What limitations you have come across, what difficulties a researcher has faced. So the others who will be going through the report will come to know those limitations, so they can start planning how to combat them if they are going to pursue their research in the similar area. Dissemination of research for different audiences. Dissemination of research reports for different audience. Okay. So if it is a research journal, okay, articles in a research journal, then the target audience will be the teachers, professionals, policymakers, curriculum developers. They will be going through those journals and the articles within those journals. Then when abstracts are written as a research report and they are available on World Wide Web, then in online format or print format also, then they also have the same kind of target audience, like teachers, professionals, policymakers, curriculum developers. If it is a thesis or a dissertation, PhD thesis or a PG dissertation, then its audience will be the fellow researchers, of course, then peers and educationists, your faculty, your experts who will be evaluating those theses and PG dissertations. Then comes the project reports. Project reports, because projects are carried out with the funds provided by some government or non-government agencies. Therefore, project reports are first and foremost submitted to the funding agency. So the audience of the project reports will be the funding agencies, the policy makers, the public, and the government. So the types of research reports so far have been your research articles, abstracts, theses and dissertations, and project reports. So research articles, if we just little bit, if we dive little deeper into how many types of research articles could be there. So research articles could be of, various types, like review articles, theoretical articles, or articles based on empirical studies. Okay. So reports of empirical studies. If it is an article which is based on some empirical study, then it will have an introduction, then method part, then results section, then discussion section. If your research article is a review type of article, then of course, then also it will have the problem definition into it. Then another section wherein which will summarize the previous investigations. That section will be there. Then there will be another section which will deals with the similarities and contradictions and gaps and inconsistencies which have been found so far in the present literature. And then the final section of review article will deal with the suggestions, okay, or proposed solutions. Then there is third type of category of article, which will be theoretical article. Here the author finds out the development of theory in order to expand and refine the theoretical concepts. Then there are abstracts. Abstracts are basically the abstracts are very short and concise. So it allows the audience or readers to go through the contents of a journal article very quickly. Instead of going through the entire article, one can very quickly go through the abstract and come to know what all has been done in the research paper. Okay. So the abstract should also be accurate, self-contained, concise and specific, coherent and readable. And the abstract will also have a very small introduction, major findings or results of the research, and it will also enlist the major conclusions or suggestions or recommendations of the research. And then comes the thesis and dissertation. So basically, thesis or dissertation are produced in partial fulfillment of the requirements of a course or a program for an advanced degree. This record is submitted to an institution for examination purpose, and after the examination has been done successfully, then the researcher is awarded the degree. The reading audience who will read the PG dissertation or the PhD thesis, they are committee members who are evaluating the thesis, that is the valuers, the fellow researchers, the peer group, and the faculty. Sometimes these research studies are also published in part or whole, okay, as a book, in book form or in some periodicals or in some journals. And project reports are basically, because public and private educational funding agencies sponsor the projects, therefore these reports are submitted to the funding agency for their acceptance. So first of all, a research proposal is submitted to the funding agency. Important, research proposal. After carrying out the research project, then complete research report is submitted again to the funding agency for its acceptance. And these reports are again a written document, and they look more or less like your like your PhD thesis only. So your project report, any kind of project report, I have discussed so many project formats so far, okay? Abstracts, articles, PG dissertations, then project reports of funding agency. Let it be any kind of project report. It is going to have one of these formats, either of example 1 or example 2. And friends, the format given in example 2 is more popular in academic and research fields. The first example is more popular in private or NGO type of organizations. So I'll focus on example 2, wherein your research report is going to look like your title page. Then there will be list of contents, tables and figures, then objectives, methods, procedures, or if it is a funded project, then budget will be there, otherwise no budget is there. Then findings, conclusions, recommendations, and then your appendices. So three major components. First component will be the preliminary section. Second will be the major body of the report. And third will be the reference section. So friends, when we are going to check any report for its plagiarism, these three sections are important. First is preliminary section, second is the body of the report, and third is the reference section. And your plagiarism rules are applied on the middle part of it, the body of the report. Preliminary section will have title page, preface, table of content, list of table, list of figure, maps, illustrations, while your main body of the report will have introduction section, then there will be design of the study, then there will be analysis and interpretation of data, then summary, findings, summarizing, conclusions, and then at last there will be reference section, and later there will be some appendices. Okay, so that the portion that I have covered so far has found significance in terms of vis-a-vis my plagiarism topic that I'm going to address, that I am addressing today, because unless you know how a report is basically organized, how will you come to know that on which part your plagiarism will be applicable? You have to be cautious. Okay, so that is why so far I have I have taken a quick tour of what types of research reports are there, what are the formats of research reports, and then what are the components of a research report. Okay. Well, plagiarism and ways to prevent it. Take a good look at the figure. In this figure, there seems to be, on the left side, there seems to be a teacher or a faculty, while on the right, on my right side, there seems to be a person representing the student or researcher community. And see what they are saying. The researcher on my right side, the research student is saying, what do you mean? All my facts are wrong? I copied everything straight off the internet. See, the researcher is saying, how can you say that I have committed plagiarism? I copied everything from the internet and internet is so correct. How can you charge me for plagiarism? This is a myth in the minds of all the novice researchers. So what is important, friends? Even if you are taking some material from internet or some offline or print resources, friends, be always aware of permissions, acknowledgements, due credits, citations, references. If you are going to use some information from some other source which is an output of some other researcher, in that case, if it is a copyrighted material, you have to take permissions from the authors or permissions from the copyright owners. If it is some results or some part of research of some other researchers, previous researchers, you should acknowledge those researchers. You should acknowledge the original author. And how do you acknowledge them? You give due credits to the original researchers. And how do you give due credits? How do you acknowledge them? By way of citations. Wherever you have taken the material, be it text or figure or table or anything, audio, video, whatever format, if you are taking material from someone else, from some other researcher or some other copyright holder or some other IPR holder, if at all it is necessary for your research to include that much part in your report, friends, take their permission and or otherwise give due credit to the original authors by way of citing them within the text, citing them wherever you have taken their material, do cite them there itself, within your report, within the text, below the figure, above the table, in whichever format. Give them due credit, give their citation at the end, or if at all you are using footnotes, then there. Okay, so cite the others material, cite within the text or and give its full citation at the end of the report. And give references to all the information sources that you have used in your report. I have listed some cautions on the basis of my own experience. First is to keep oneself away from plagiarism. What steps can be taken? What preventive measures can be taken? What are the caution words? So friends, first of all, please see to it that your research is self-explanatory. The topic of your research should be self-explanatory. Do not use fanciful terms or phrases in hypothesis. It should be written in simple, non-ambiguous language. Then cite original sources. And then comes write review in your own words. Don't copy others' review. Do not use controversial information sources. Only authentic information sources should be used in a research. Data collected should be free from bias. Do not depend only on free resources. Do not depend only on free resources available on internet. Please go through the scholarly information sources that are provided to you by your research institute library or by university library through online or offline format. Avoid self-citation unless inevitable. Don't just use or refer to your own research material. Use it only when it is inevitable. Like there is a mandate that every researcher should bring about 2-3 papers published in journals or conference proceedings or presented in conferences. In that case, because those research papers are part of your PhD thesis, then in such cases you may give self-citation. Stick to only one style of citation throughout the report. Understand the difference between references and bibliography. In references, you list all those sources that have been used in your report. And in bibliography, you mention the sources for further studies. All abbreviations should be first defined and then used. Write contribution of each author in case of research article. If it is a single author, then no problem. If it is a multi-author article or a research paper, then every author's contribution should be well written and mentioned. And stick to timelines. Friends, research is a cyclical process. Every research should give rise to more research questions that need further investigations in the form of new research. No researcher can claim that my research is final. No further research can be carried out in the area in which I have conducted the research. That is not the way research is conducted. Every research should give rise to new researches. That is why you are required to write one last section in your research report, future researches, for the researches. And remember, a research not communicated to the target audience was better not done at all. Okay? There is no use of conducting a research which you are keeping to yourself and not disseminating with your peers. So, research ethics. Where do students learn ethical decision making? Through their mentor, advisor, or fellow graduate students, from the family, of course, from their friends in graduate school, from other teachers, from religious beliefs also we learn good things and good ethics. Then discussion in courses, labs and seminars, you come to know about research ethics. Like today I am conducting this session. Then there are various professional organizations which are dedicatedly dealing into such topics of research ethics. Then comes the course dealings with ethical issues. There are some specialized courses which are conducted precisely on plagiarism or research ethics. So how to be cautious about or beware, how to be beware of plagiarism. So what to do, what not to do. See, sharing scientific knowledge is essential. Research, and how do you share your scientific knowledge? Through research publications. And for every research publications, there are certain authors, and those authors could be conducting the research in collaborative mode, and there are chances that knowingly or unknowingly we may conduct some unethical things, which is called as scientific misconduct. So we have to prevent ourselves from committing misconduct. And laboratory practices are practice of image and data manipulation, then data ownership and IPR. These are certain issues. Then government and industry sponsored researches are there. Then sharing the data through thesis. Science is a shared knowledge based on a common understanding of some aspects of physical or social world. So we do understand that for every research area, there is some common knowledge, which every researcher will be referring to. So there is some common knowledge. So there should be no issue of plagiarism, which is called as common knowledge or domain knowledge. Sharing, how do you share your scientific communication? Through presentations in various conferences or seminars or symposia, or through publications in various journals, and of course your thesis report. Okay, this question may arise in your mind: why publish? A paper is an organized description of hypotheses, data and conclusions intended to instruct the reader. If your research does not generate papers, it might just as well not have been done. I'm reiterating. If your research, if you are conducting, for example, if you are conducting a PhD and you are not publishing any paper, you are not presenting any paper in any conference or seminar, then what is the point of conducting such PhD or such research? wherein you are not disseminating your outcomes, your research outcomes or your research findings. There is no use of such research. Every research should benefit some section of the society. So if it wasn't published, it wasn't done. So simple. If you are not publishing, it means you are not conducting any research. This is said not by me, but one knowledgeable person, E.H. Miller. So every publication has three parts. It is published, your research article or paper is published in some journal wherein the contributing researchers are called as authors, and then there are another subject experts who will be reviewing those submitted articles and checking their suitability for publication. So now coming to authorship. Look at this picture. I hope this picture is visible to all. In this section also there is one supervisor or lab in charge, and the person on the other side is of course a researcher. So the lab in charge is saying great manuscript, but lab chief always gets listed as first author. So now I am going to address a very sensitive issue called as authorship, which plays very important role in plagiarism. The list of authors establishes accountability as well as credit. If a paper is very good, who is given credit? The authors. But if the research paper is found to be plagiarized, then who are accountable? Again, the authors. Okay. So the paper, who should be listed as the author? Only those persons should become the author of the paper who have contributed intellectually to the research paper. Means the persons who have conducted the research and contributed intellectually, those persons can only become the authors. The persons who are, helping you in collecting the data, who are not, would not belonging to your subject, or the persons who are typing your reports or helping you with some outside tools, they should not be listed here because they are not contributing intellectually. Or some person who are inspiring you or motivating you or are helping you in arrangement of your report or in publication of your paper, those are not the intellectual contributors, so they should not be called as the authors. The acknowledgement section of your paper or your journal can be used to thank those who indirectly contribute. Who should be the first author? Who should be? You have about when there is a guide and a PhD student, and the paper has both as authors, who should be treated as the main author? Well, sometimes there are guidelines provided by government agencies like UGCs, like University Grants Commission, who says that PhD PhD supervisor or the mentor is gets the uh, first authorship or the main authorship. Okay. And the corresponding author also is given main authorship in several cases. But if there is supervisor also or mentor also, they also get the main authorship or first authorship. Author responsibilities. Author responsibilities. Preparation and submission of manuscripts. So ensure work is new and original. All authors are aware of submission. Very important. All authors should be aware of submission and agree with content and support submission. Agree that the manuscript can be examined by anonymous reviewers, blind reviewers of the journal. Provide copies of related work. Suppose the journal asks you to submit data or your code, program, software, soft code, then you should be able to submit them. Obtain copyright permissions if figure, tables, copyrighted material is reproduced in your report. Include proper affiliation. Give proper affiliation of the author. And what is publishable? The papers that are original and significant, the papers that are well organized and well written, and the papers that are concised yet complete. So, fragmentary reports are not acceptable. Routine extensions of previous reports should not happen. They should not be accepted, and violation of ethical guidelines should also not be accepted. So, research misconduct is basically addressed in three forms. First is called as fabrication, then there is falsification, and then the plagiarism or plagiarism. Fabrication is making up of data or results and recording or reporting them, wherein there is no true data, but the data has been fabricated, wrongly created. Results have been fabricated, not true ones. That is called fabrication. Then falsification. Falsification means manipulating research material. Sometimes you manipulate the equipment or the tools of data collection or the tools of data analysis, and then you produce some other false results and use them in your report. That is called falsification. Wrong data, falsified data, not the correct one. And then comes the plagiarism. Plagiarism is the appropriation of another person's ideas, processes, results, or words without giving appropriate credit. There are two parts. You are using other person's ideas or data or text. And the second part says that you are not giving them due credit. You are not saying that that is not your own. It is the data of some other original authors. That is what is called as plagiarism. Research misconduct does not include honest error or differences of opinions. So plagiarism means using the ideas or words of another person without giving appropriate credit. You can use other person's ideas, you can use other person's text or words. However, you have to give them due credits. How do you give them due credits? I told you in my earlier slide, by way of citing them, by way of giving full citations, by way of references, by way of obtaining permissions of copyrighted material. If you don't credit them, the original author, the original researcher, then we are conducting plagiarism. And self-plagiarism. Like suppose, for example, I have written one research report. In my new report, I am just copying my own previous report with some changes here and there. That is called self-plagiarism. Highly, we can say unacceptable. Highly unacceptable. Both types of plagiarisms are considered unacceptable. So plagiarism is passing off another person's work as one's own. How do you pass on the other's work as your own? By not giving credit to them. If you are not citing their work, if you are not taking permissions, if you are not giving references, proper references everywhere, then you are posing as if it is your work, and that is plagiarism. You are creating an expression that it is your work. So, Self-plagiarism defined as the reuse of significant portions of the author's own work. Same thing I have conducted. Same report is my research report and same report is my PhD thesis. That is self-plagiarism. Highly unacceptable and punishable. So it is the responsibility of the author to obtain proper permissions and to appropriately cite or quote the material not original to the author. In this context, quote is defined as reusing others' work with proper acknowledgement. How do you give proper acknowledgement? Suppose you find that in some other research paper, you find there is a paragraph and you think that that is very important for your research also. So you can copy it verbatim, but include it within double quotations and cite them using proper citation style. Suppose you are using APA style, then and suppose it was originally it was my paper from where you are copying, or we call it as referring to. Then you cite me at the end of the double quotation or beginning of the quotation. You cite like Prakashe, 2010. So this is short cite, CITE cite, and at the end of your paper, we will find a list of all the cited sources, which is called as references. So full citation is given at the end, and if you are using footnote system, then you can give it at the in the bottom margin of your paper, of your page. Friends, sooner or later, ethical violations get exposed. There are various PDS, plagiarism detection softwares, which are available online in open access mode, means freely with some restrictions. And there are several plagiarism detection softwares which are commercial products and bought, purchased. They check for plagiarism and gives similarity indexes in percentages. But the softwares cannot check for all types of plagiarism. A researcher may be very smart and the researcher can fool the software. But remember, there are subject experts who will later, your target audience who will be going through your paper, will be going through your research report, may sometime come to know that there were certain plagiarisms in the report. So friends, sooner or later, ethical violations get exposed. Okay, so there are so many, caution words and do's and don'ts and what to do, what not to do so far that I have told you in my lecture so far. So what are the reasons for plagiarism? You may really feel why plagiarism is conducted. Is it deliberate or is it inadvertent? Okay. Look at this picture. Again, there is a supervisor and there is another PhD student or a researcher. See what the researcher or PhD student or researcher is saying. The researcher is saying, really? Someone told me it is not plagiarism if they are dead. If they are dead. We can apparently it is seen that the supervisor has found some plagiarism in the report of the student. And now the student is saying that the author is dead, so we can copy from his material. This is a myth in the minds of many researchers that if the author is dead, we can just right away use his material without even giving them due credits. without even citing them or giving due references. This is not so, friend. This is a major blunder or a mistake. The increasing availability of scientific literature on the World Wide Web has proven to be a double-edged sword, allowing plagiarism to be more easily committed while simultaneously enabling its simple detection through the automated software. It simply means the researchers are copying from internet sources and the plagiarism detection software is also checking from the internet sources. So the student is copying from the same sources and the software is also checking from the same sources. And that is why the researchers are caught. The plagiarism is found easily. So beware, internet is a double-edged sword. Friends, you may ask me then what to do, madam? I have told you, give citations, cite them within the text. Cite, C-I-T-E, cite. Cite within the text, give full citation at the end. Cite within the text, give full citation at the end. Give due references, give all the references that you have used in your research report. Give all references of all types of information sources. Give due credits to the original authors. This is the only obtain permissions if you have to use the copyrighted material, or otherwise don't use copyrighted material if you don't have permissions. Okay, so I will discuss certain cases when the students are or the researchers are caught conducting or rather with the misconduct. When misconduct is found in their research, what are the popular responses of the researchers? What are their statements? What are their excuses? Or what are their reasons that why such and such plagiarism is conducted by them knowingly or unknowingly? Okay, so I have listed some of the popular replies. The first reply, when a student is found conducting plagiarism, what kind of reply the student gives? Go through the first statement. The researcher says there are probably only X amount of word combinations that could lead to Y amount of statements. I have no idea why the pieces are similar, except that I am sure I do not have a good enough memory. The student says, no. This text I have written on my own. This is my own language. And there are so many other researchers, they will also write like this, because English language we have limited words and limited way of and a fixed way of writing sentences, and that is why my text is finding similarity with the others text. This is a popular reason that my text is matching with others, though I have written on my own. This is because of the English language, because we have certain way of writing the sentences, that is why it is matching with others. Okay. Now come to the second reason given by the or excuse given by the researchers when they are caught with plagiarism. The researchers say, I was not involved in the article. I have no idea why my name is included. Total disowning the author or the researcher. When plagiarism is found, they disown the article. They say, this is not my article. I am not the author. I do not know. I don't have any idea who has put my name as the authors. Means complete disownment, that I am not owning this article. Next excuse given by the researchers is, this article was mainly done by a young fellow. I made the corrections in the text. See, this type of argument is given by the research guides or the mentors. They say that the young fellow has conducted mistakes. I told him the corrections. I told him to correct the report, but it seems He did not correct the report and he just published it. This is called passing the buck, shirking one's own responsibility. Guide is disowning the mistake. The guide is putting the burden of mistake on the junior fellow, on the junior researcher. Okay, that is also one of the reasons, popular reasons that are given forth by the students, researchers. Then another type of popular reason given by the researchers when found with plagiarism, they say that I don't know English language, but the journal has made the English language mandatory, so I had to write in English language, which is not my language. I am not an expert in language, and that is why this plagiarism is found. Okay. However, this is also not acceptable. To be next popular reason is, now this is given by the junior fellow. The junior researcher is passing the buck on the senior, on the guide, on the supervisor, on the mentor. He says, to be honest with you, I was not aware of the fact that I need to take prior permissions. This is also another reason. When found violating the copyright, many authors say we had no idea that this part is, this figure or this table is copyrighted. We had no idea that there are certain copyright rules. So it is like, just pleading ignorance. However, it is again not acceptable. This excuse is also not acceptable. Then another excuse given by the junior researcher wherein he passes the buck to the senior, to the mentor, to the supervisor, wherein the junior says, the corresponding author was my teacher or my guide from whom I have learned everything. My respect for him. But I had no idea that my guide or my mentor was plagiarizing. The junior fellow is saying that the senior is responsible. He has conducted the plagiarism. He should have been aware of it. I am very new to the field. However, this excuse is also not acceptable. Okay, friends. Why I am, delivering this lecture today? I have one selfish motto. I have my own selfish goal here. Because you see, UGC in 2016, in 2013, UGC had come out with a regulation wherein they mandated all the universities which are awarding PhDs to submit the soft copy of PhD in InflibNet's depository. And then in 2016 and later in 2018, UGC came out with a regulation wherein they made it compulsory, mandatory to all the researchers and institutions awarding PhDs to submit the awarded PhDs in an online institutional depository or online institutional repository of UGC through InflibNet, which is christened or named as Shodh Ganga. So all the PhD theses are going on Shodh Ganga. Before submitting the thesis, awarded thesis, PhD thesis on Shodh Ganga, it is mandatory to check it for plagiarism. So plagiarism is checked for every PhD thesis before its submission. And then after award of PhD, all the theses are required to be uploaded on Shodh Ganga portal, which is a depository or institutional repository of InflibNet Center of UGC. So thesis and dissertations, these are known to be rich and unique source of information. We have learned so far about them. So I need not tell you again. So UGC mandate is the UGC notification of minimum standards and procedure for award of MPhil PhD degree regulation 2009 amendment made on 2016. This regulation of UGC mandates submission of e-version of thesis e-version of PhD thesis and dissertation in universities. They should be submitted. Where? On Shodhganga. Facilitates open access to Indian thesis and dissertation. Now this Shodhganga appears on internet in terms of a portal, shodhganga.infibnet.ac.in. Now this Shodhganga is an open access portal wherein all the PhD theses in full text form are available free of cost in open access form and worldwide. All you need is internet. Go through Shodhganga website and you can go through the full thesis submitted therein, full text of the thesis in chapter wise manner. So this would overcome serious problems of poor visibility of unseen factor of research reports, because as I told you, all the research outcomes should be disseminated or communicated to the peers, so that problem of not being visible or not having reached to the target audience, this problem is overcome by Shodhganga and its accessibility in open access mode and in full text form. So as per the regulation, the Shodhganga is looked after, maintained by InflibNet Center, which is an IUC of UGC. So friends, it is not the honors and the prizes and the fancy outsides of life which ultimately nourish our souls. Okay? It is the knowing that we can be trusted, that we never have to fear the truth, that the bedrock of our very being is good stuff, good moral values, good ethics. This is said by Fred Rogers. So friends, it is not the materialistic gains of a human being. It is basically his moral values and his ethics that will decide about his or her credibility and being trustworthy in the society. And this is the true bedrock of our virtues. So ethics are nevertheless the most important aspect of a human being and in his social life. So the same way research ethics apply to the research journey of a researcher. Our good ethics, our good research ethics will help us to be known by in the field and to be trustworthy in the field. And friends, these are the sources on the basis of which I have prepared this lecture. You can, and okay friends, so what is the major takeaway of my lecture today? The major takeaway of my lecture is not that do not use others' material, because the researches in sciences and more so in humanities and social sciences are based on previous researches. You have to go through the previous researches. You have to refer to the previous researches and conduct your new research. So in your report, previous researches, some parts of the previous researches is bound to be included. So you are not prohibited in using previous researches, their text or their figure or their tables or their copyrighted material. All you have to do is beware of not giving credits to them. So you have to give them due credits. And how do you give them due credits? Cite, cite, cite. Cite करते जाइए within the text and full citation देते जाइए. So wherever you are using others' material in your report, in whichever page, in whichever paragraph, if you are using 2 lines, 3 lines, 1 paragraph of others' research article, of others' PhD thesis, of some other information source, please cite it there and then and close it in double quotation, then cite it using a citation style APA IEEE Vancouver MP, MLA, Chicago, whichever citation style you are going to use in your paper. Cite it within the text where that others material is appearing. Please cite it there and then give its full citation or reference at the end or at the end of the page or at the end of the report, depending upon your footnote system or your only in the reference system. Okay. So, or if it is copyrighted material, you have to obtain permissions. If the author is dead, it doesn't mean that you can lift their material and just print it or publish it with your name on it. No, friends, you are still violating the rights. You have to go through the law of the land. What the law of the land says. Is it 60 years after the death of the owner? Is it 100 years after the death of the owner that the material will become open will be available in public domain? You have to you have to be aware of those rules. Very cautious about not committing any error in terms of copyrights, in terms of IPR, intellectual property rights. If it is some audio, if it is some video, you cannot just, manipulate it a little bit and say that it is your own. You still took inspiration from someone. You still got ideas from someone, and then keeping the idea same, you changed some part of it with your own correct new ideas. But still, who motivated you? Who inspired you? What was the main source? What was the original source? Please do cite the original source. I have been checking plagiarism in the university for past 7-8 years. And you see, most of the times what the researchers do, they paraphrase others' information. Paraphrasing means writing the text in your language. You go through somebody else's research article, you go through somebody else's PhD thesis, or you go through some part of some research article or some research report, then you summarize it or you write it in your language. That is called paraphrasing. And then you feel, no, now it is my own because I have rewritten entire thing in my language, in my way. And you feel that you do not need to cite the original source. And you don't cite original source. That is wrong. That is committing plagiarism. Even if you have summarized, suppose it was an 8-page report, you summarized it in 1 page, you summarized it in 1 paragraph and included in your research. Friends, you are required to still cite the original source at the end of your paragraph, at the end of your paraphrased paragraph, or 4 lines or 10 lines or 12 or 13 lines or 22 paragraphs, you have to cite the original source because you took the idea from there. Original idea was not yours, though language was yours. Verbatim, it was not same. Even if you have summarized it, you have concised the entire conclusions in a paragraph, still you have to cite them. Many a times it happens that you search in Google Images or some others PhD thesis, you find a table and you think, oh my God, this table is so good and so important for your research also. And you decide to use that table. However, because your research is a new topic and it is a research in some further steps, so what you do is you modify the table. You add some columns or table or rows to it. And then you claim that it is your own, and you forget or deliberately you do not cite the original source. That is committing plagiarism. Even if you have modified others' table to a great extent, still you need to cite the original source just under the table and then at the end of the research report wherein references are given. You have to give full citation there also. Same way, similarly, the rules are applicable to images. You find an image and you modify it in a good way, and then according to your topic, and then you include it in your research report. And you feel that since you have modified it to a great extent, and now it is yours, because most part of it is generated by you. Still, friends, that image could have been copyrighted. If at all it was not copyrighted, still it's IPR. It is an intellectual property of the original author. Please cite it under the image that you have created, that you have modified. Please mention adapted from such and such source and give its full citation again in the list of references, citations. That is the correct way. So in terms of text, I'm giving you one, what you call as Ramban, one greatest mantra of coping up with the plagiarism. In terms of table, I have told you how to deal with the tables. In terms of figures, I have told you how to deal with the figures. Okay, in terms of plagiarism. Now, if it is text, most of the times it is text. In cases of text, please use double quotations. And at the beginning of double quotation and at the end of the double quotation, either at the beginning or at the end, cite the original source. Okay, that is called as cite within the text and give full citation at the end of the report. So, friends, just I'll go back and in my slides, please look at the bottom line of my slide. See, under this figure, I have mentioned the source. Have you seen it? Though this lecture is not, something that I am going to publish anywhere. This is my lecture meant for teaching purpose only. Still, I have mentioned the source to educate you, to make you aware how to cite the figure. See, I have cited the figure. See, I have mentioned the source, https colon so and so, both the sources I mentioned. Then, see, in this slide, I have given the source at the top of the line, http ori dot. Have you seen that? Similarly, look at this figure. Under this figure also, I have mentioned the source, online source from where I have taken this figure. And I have also mentioned the source of the text on the left side. Under this figure also, I have mentioned the source. This paragraph, who said this? I have put it in double quotation and mentioned the source. In this particular slide also, look at the bottom 3 lines. I have mentioned the source. In this slide also, I have mentioned the source. This is called as citation. I have cited in-text citation. See, I have given here in-text citation. E.H. Miller, G. The Whitesides. So friends, and the sources wherein I have not mentioned the source, those sources are given at the end of my lecture, which I have shown you. So with this, I end my presentation here. And now I'm going to stop this presentation, and the session will be open for question answer round. If there are any, I'll stop sharing. Yes, any questions, queries, or your experiences with plagiarism, wherein you have certain queries in your mind? Any questions?
Ma'am, hello.
Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am,
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, am I audible? Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are.
Ma'am, can you tell us about some open, some free online plagiarism tools, plagiarism detection tools?
Several. There are several. It's very difficult to enlist them because very every now and then some or the other tools are added. But Grammarly is one, Quillbot is another. Then most of the editors are now coming with plagiarism tool also. So you can then Scribber is there. Script SCRIBBD, that is one. These
Okay,
are
ma'am.
popular ones amongst
Okay, ma'am.
researchers. Quillbot and Grammarly,
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
online tools. Yes. And if you talk about, these are the free ones that I have told you. If you talk about commercial, is your question about commercial also?
No, no, no. I was just interested in knowing the free
Access.
softwares.
Yes, free softwares. Popular ones are Grammarly, Scribber, and Quillbot.
Okay, ma'am.
Madam, this is Dhananjay. Hello,
Yes.
madam.
Yes.
Madam, I'm writing a thesis for my PhD in the review of literature section, ma'am. What I found is that while synthesizing or summarizing the article or the research work of the other authors, I'm getting the similarity index, ma'am, or similarity this in the plagiarism report. So how to avoid this?
Okay. Okay. In my lecture also, I have already addressed this, but I will tell you once again. While writing a review, please remember a review should be unique to each student. How it is? Take an example. Suppose there is a very popular movie Sholay. Okay, you are a reviewer of Sholay movie, and I am also one of the reviewers of Sholay movie. Your That means you may give it say 4 star out of 5, while I may give it 3 stars out of 5. So because you will be reviewing as per your yardsticks, while I'll be reviewing the same content as per my yardsticks. Maybe you are emphasizing more on acting component, wherein I might be focusing more on the script of it, which I find, very monotonous, routine. So the same way, the same information source, if it is reviewed by you or me, your review should be based on your objectives of going through it. Why are you going through that objective? Suppose you are conducting research based on citation analysis, then you will be looking at that information source in terms of citation analysis, while I'll be looking at the report in some other angle. So my review should be written in a different manner, in my own language. Do not ever copy review from others. Why? Because in review you will discuss about the methodology. You will also write a sentence about its objectives. So some words, some part of it is going to be same. However, in that case, how do we deal with review of literature? We do give cite, we cite within the text, and we give citations at the end.
Thank you, madam.
Madam, I am PG Gawande
Okay.
from Chikaldara.
Okay.
If we take some material from Meta AI for research paper, do we give reference of Meta AI?
Well, you see, I think this is one of the issues that UGC has not addressed so far. They have mentioned about similarity index, but not about AI component in it. However, we all, while dealing with research ethics, I always suggest, please do not take material generated by AI tools like ChatGPT or others. Please do not use them in your report, because they are caught by the plagiarism detection softwares. There are several cases wherein the plagiarism index, which we call as similarity index is 2 or 3%, while AI component is say 30% or 40%. In that case also, we tell the students, please remove the AI component and include your own original component. So far, there are no
Madam,
guidelines. But AI
but if we,
content is
madam,
discouraged. Yes.
if we put the meta AI reference, then
See, meta AI or anything, it is generated, it is machine generated, and it is not original. How do you cite it? You will cite that source, but there are no such guidelines. Therefore, since it is not generated by you, you are not the author of that component. Some other tool is the author, is the creator, not the author, is the creator of that compiled version. So you should not pose as if you have written it. That is amounting to plagiarism. Do not use AI component.
Madam,
ma'am,
in
thanks.
line with the sir's question, I am just asking one another question, ma'am. Like many times, what we do is we ask the chat GPT to summarize the research paper, and chat GPT gives the entire summary in 5 to 6 lines of the research paper. So in that case, can we use that summary in our research paper and cite it?
Okay. The same answer. Because it has been generated by ChatGPT, it will be caught by the PDS. PDS means plagiarism detection softwares. The commercial ones, which are very vast. Okay, like Turnitin, like
But ma'am,
Authenticate,
madam,
Turnitin, Kurkun.
we,
Is that component written by you? Answer me.
Madam, I just want to tell you that there are software unable to detect the AI component also.
See,
So yes,
you are not getting my point. You are not
because
getting. Please listen to me. Please listen to me. Is that material written by you? Is it authored by you? Is it your own original? Give
Madam, I'm 100% with you about the ethics, but this is how happening on the technology side.
So
So
if
how?
it is caught, we have to tell the researcher, please omit it and write original part.
Yes, madam.
It has to be discouraged.
Good afternoon, ma'am. This is
Good afternoon.
this is Dr. Pradeep Sahu. I have a question. Like, no, for what in continuation to the previous question, if I have written the entire text, putting it in the for grammar checking or no rephrasing and summarizing, the entire text is my own. So whether it will also be detected by plagiarism or AI or not?
Chances are it will not be, if at all. You see, I will tell you one thing. It seems that you have not gone through the UGC guidelines, the UGC regulation. See, similarity up to 14 words is allowed. Okay, in text. Listen to me. This is one. Another part of it is the common knowledge, common domain knowledge should be excluded. For example, I am writing a paper on some IT application. Some other person is also writing a paper on some IT application. In introduction part, I will write about information technology. The other researcher will also write about information technology. Both of us will write in our own words without referring to any information source. Still, there are chances that the same introduction part of both of us will be similar. Why they are similar? Because it is a common knowledge. It is common domain knowledge. Such things are taken care by the software. If not by the software, then by the plagiarism rules and regulations. Common knowledge part is excluded. Some formulas, then something mentioned within double quotations, properly cited, they are excluded.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, madam, for a very eye-opening session for all the participants and solving their queries as well. So I extend my sincere thanks to respected Dr. Veena Prakashe, madam, once again from all the participants and my own behalf. Thank you so much, madam, once again for engaging such an enlightening session for all of us. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thanks to all.
Thank you, madam. Have a nice day, ma'am. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you, everyone. We'll wind up our today's session here. And I have sent one message in our WhatsApp group regarding relieving letter or NOC that you have already, I think, uploaded on the web portal as well as in the Google form. But
Yes,
you
ma'am.
are requesting to send it again in our WhatsApp group, because our university clerical staff is there in our WhatsApp group, so they can directly print out that particular
Ma'am.
document. So kindly send that document in our WhatsApp group
Preeti
once
ma'am.
again.
Preeti ma'am.
Yes.
Actually, my releving letter is in my laptop, and I am
Yeah.
somewhere else. So it won't be possible for me to upload like right now or within 1 or 2 days.
Okay. By tomorrow also you can do it, but before, because that is mandatory to create your certificate and post your certificates. So you can
Okay.
submit in a day or two, no problem.
Okay, I'll submit within day or two, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes.
Preeti ma'am, I
Yes.
have a bit of a confusion.